Hello, this is Jason T. Ingram, and this is a project I'm calling Referral Madness, and it's about advocating for yourself. And unfortunately, this is turning into an example of what doesn't work. And yet, I am trying the best I possibly can with the functioning level that I'm at right now and the resources that are available to me. The sad thing about this is what I'm dealing with and where I'm at and the reactions of people involved. And so I'm glad I'm documenting it. I'm glad I'm talking about it because I just don't have an outlet where I can go and sit there and say, this is the help I need and I'm not getting it. And what do I do? What I'm finding myself doing now, and it's really getting to the point when things are really, I don't know how to say it, but they're getting disgusting. They're getting ridiculous. They're getting almost sensational from my perspective of the things that aren't happening. And a lot of the people I work around are the types of people that I would expect would be able to know when somebody's in a mental health crisis and to know what to do. And then I get around some of these folks and I even tell them how much I'm suffering and I tell them what I'm able to do, what I'm not able to do. And I still get silence, and I don't know what to do with the silence. I don't know how to interpret silence. And it's a big button for me because I grew up with a lot of neglect, a lot of silence. I was hurting, and I was hurting. And then when I'd get sick, I would typically get hurt more as a result of being sick. Or I would get out of doing work, which would in turn make me feel like I was doing something bad for not working. And this was something I was talking about today as well, trying to talk to somebody and say, it really fucks with your head when you haven't worked in 10 years. And it's like, instead of getting, oh, wow, you haven't worked in 10 years? That must really drive you crazy. Let's help you get back to work. Instead, it's like, well, you need to work. You need to just get out there and get a job. It's kind of the same thing. You just need to get a doctor and go to the hospital. I don't have that luxury. I don't have the luxury of going, applying and interviewing and getting a job. Although I still try. I still uh, do the occasional job interview, but it's gotten to the point when it's so upsetting to get to that point of getting the interview, and I get so nervous because I mean after 10 years of rejection, then that really fucks with your head. And I just can't expect myself to sit there in somebody's program to stand in line with a group of people and they've got a particular need and I've got a particular need, and I'm being stuck in situations where I feel like I have to go for help in channels that I know are not going to help me or that haven't helped me in the past, or some of these things just do more harm than good sometimes. And there's nothing worse than suffering and being put in the wrong program. And the best example I have of that was 12 years ago. I was suffering tremendous depression. And I just did not have a reason to live. I had an impossibility, and that was how do I keep my career as a church musician in a community that was my family. It was my second family. They were the people that I trusted, that I felt safe with. And they had a belief about my sexual orientation that was not only the main problem, but pretty much the only problem. Once I fixed the gay problem, then everything else would happen because my depression was a result of being gay and feeling guilty about it. I even had a medical doctor tell me that. So, what's really surreal about now coming out more as a mentally ill person, that I'm seeing this same disgusting denial creature that's full of bigotry and that's full of judgment and that's just doing the same things that I experienced 10, 11, 12 years ago with this whole anti gay thing. and it's sticking up its ugly head again in another form. And the form is, what I'm realizing is that the mental health industry, for one thing, it shouldn't be an industry. It should be a right that everybody has in order to find sanity, in order to treat people better, to get along with people, to find a purpose, to find your place, and to work alongside with people treated equally. That is not a concept that people practice in this community, in this world. It's a very similar thing that I find when I was working with Bible Christians. And I can't seem to get over this hump of, okay, I've done everything I possibly can in every approach I can to ask for help. And some of the emails and texts, messages, and things that I've been sending out over the last week or so, for instance, I've been in such a depression lately that it has, and I haven't experienced this for this extended of a period of time. It's chronic fatigue. And a lot of men have a hard time dealing with chronic fatigue because a lot of times it stirs up anger. There's this hatred towards self because there's such a, no matter what community you're in, chances are you're in a community that if you're a man, you feel like you have to be this certain type of person. And if you are helpless and you rely on the benevolence of others, and you're pretty much stuck in a place where you have to ask for help, then it's really difficult when the more I ask, the more upsetting it is when I get the silence and when I get the rejection, when I get the runaround, when I get the judgment, when I get sent to the wrong places, the wrong people, I get told the wrong advice, or I get told advice instead of help. And when I get that over and over again, now what it's doing is it's creating such an aversion for anybody that I consider part of the system, to where physically I get sick and I panic when I try to go forward and when I try to pursue more help. And it's gotten to the point when I panic so badly I can't focus when I talk to people, when I ask for help. So I can't even communicate the kind of help that I need. And so I decided I was going to call a colleague of mine who I've been asking for help. And I was very disappointed over the last month at something I asked for help, but I decided I'm going to find out why. Because this is not a bad person. He cares for me. He's a great guy. For the most part, he knows what he's doing. And he knows a lot of my situation better than everybody. And still, he let me down, and I didn't know why. And so I talked to him, and it was really good. I mean, we're still friends. And so it didn't get into a heated discussion. But it really helped me to see from his perspective of somebody, of what it was like. And it still left me, though, without the answers of still, when I'm stuck, how do I get unstuck? And how do I make it clear to people that if they agree to help, how do I hold them accountable? Should I hold them accountable? And it has to do with, if I'm going to hold them accountable, then they should be people that have agreed to help me in writing, that they're getting paid for it. And especially, this is the one that's really been hard for me to live with lately, because it's incredibly upsetting. And I'm involved in so many disputes with so many organizations because of the way I've been treated, that it's overwhelming. And if I just had one that would just say, hey, we're going to take up your cause and listen, then that would help. But I'm scared. I'm scared to ask anymore. And another thing I'm scared to do is to sit at home and watch my business fall apart, watch my health care fall apart, and in turn watch my house fall apart. And then what happens with depression is you just don't care anymore. And sometimes people get so depressed where they don't even want to die or live. it's like, why should I even kill myself? Because I'm too depressed to even do that, if there is such a thing. What's keeping me alive now is knowing that I do have a purpose. I have a vocation or a calling or whatever it is. And that is the key to my wellness. And unfortunately, my purpose is not one where somebody can hand me a box of crayons and say, you're an artist, so draw a couple of pictures and we'll put them up in the corner. I'm not that kind of artist. And I can only do so much as far as the reach and the quality of my products by myself, to where I don't think I can make a living out of this. And the chances of me making a living out of my career based on the resources that I have right now would be the same thing for me if I went to Spirit Mountain Casino and put $1,000 down. I could end up with $1 million. Chances are I'm going to end up with $10 and below the other 900 and something dollars. So when you're in the entertainment industry and a career in the arts, it really is a gamble, and you're kind of at the mercy of waiting to be acknowledged and waiting for some kind of platform to take you to that place. That doesn't always happen. So what happens is the artists have to become business people, and they have to learn how to run their business, to promote themselves and detach from their work. With my functioning level, I've assessed myself right now as being able to feed my cat and bathe a couple times a week and make frozen entrees, and occasionally I'll make a big salad or something for myself. And if I'm having a good day, then I can be able to maybe catch up on dishes and laundry. But that's pretty much all I'm able to accomplish in my life, and that's very sad because there's so much more I want to do. And the more I'm working on my art, and the more I'm getting it out there, and the more I'm building community with my work back and forth, then that's what keeps me alive. And so the thing that motivates me to live is something I'm not allowed to have right now, based on what I have been given by the people that I go to for help. So right now, I'm faced with having to get very creative. And here's what I'm having to do, is I'm having to come up with ideas on how I can be heard without hurting others or hurting myself. And there's always going to be people offended at what I do. And I worry about that sometimes, because that's the last thing I want to do, is offend people. And at the same time, whether it's a mix of just me being so hurt to where it is overwhelming me to where I can't ignore it. It could be a mixture of having this wonderful little midlife crisis. I stopped counting how many midlife crises I've had. I think this is my third or fourth. But it's definitely something I'm going to be calling a super crisis or a hyper crisis, because there's lots of different crises going on right now. And I have to laugh because I'm looking at it as an opportunity. I've never been this stuck in life in over 10 years, to where I'm fucked if I do nothing, and I'm fucked if I keep trying what I'm doing because it's not working. And I'm fucked because I'm seeing my ability to take care of myself is diminishing. My ability to comprehend and read things is diminishing. And it's probably a phase I'm going through, and it's hard to tell what the real problem is. And it's also hard when I get around people that right away they want to come up with what they think the problem is and what they think the cure is. And I want to tell you, talk is fucking cheap. And I'm so tired of just talk and just words with no substance and no action. And it wears on you after a while. It's very lonely and it's very quiet. And some guys just can't handle that. It's just like you just get this restless thing, like, I'm a shark in a cage, I'm a hummingbird in a cage, and I cannot handle this anymore. So how do have a creative outlet for all that energy and to be able to get this stuff heard, whether I'm crying in somebody's office or whether I'm doing something remarkable. I need to be heard to a point to where it's actually going to accomplish the resources that I am aiming towards. So that's where I'm at right now. I did another video earlier this week, but I was under such a depression that I don't think that video would be very productive. It's even more sad than this video I'm doing right now. But it hasn't been very fun, and I'm tired of, waking up in the afternoon and spending a whole day of nothing, and then another day where I get maybe a couple of things done, and another day where I might get 3 or 4 things done. Or today, which was good, I got quite a few things accomplished, but nothing compared to what I need to do in order to be able to manage my life right now. So anyways, kind of a sad update, but I'm weirdly hopeful at this point.